Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and we're going to be playing with all sorts of fun stuff today. We're going to be working with these inks and pigments from a friend of mine's store. This one is Pearl X. So we're going to be working with the Pearl X pigments and the alcohol inks from Jacquard. Now, I don't know a lot about these products. I do know that they're very pigmented. And, I've been playing with them a little bit. Not a whole lot, but I have been playing with them a little bit. I've got all different mixing things here to work with, as well as some paint brushes, some water, and that sort of thing. So I've also got a picture to work with, as well as some cold pressed watercolor paper. So we're just going to play with it and see what it can do. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about this stuff. I do like to try to play with different things and get it, into what I'm doing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to fiddle just for the fun of it. All right, so I have the gum arabic here as well as the pigments. So what we're going to do is in these little trays here, I'm going to mix a bit of ink. I'm going to move some of these other trays out of the way because I'll use them for the mixture for the alcohol inks. So I'm out of room. All right, move things around. I'm going to leave you on the big camera so that you can see what's going on and what I'm doing. I'm going to move some stuff around here. I've got my measuring spoons there. I've got a big tray here, a big porcelain tray here, so that if it spills out of these little trays, it's not a big deal because it's not going to get all over my desk. All right, so we've got 4 different ones here, so let's pick some colors. I want to try this blue. So let's take our smallest one here. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon. And we're just going to untie this so that it's not clanking all over the place. So we've got a 1/4 teaspoon here. And we're going to take this. Now you're supposed to measure this 4 to 1. So okay, so we'll put him in here. And as you can see on there, it's a very translucent metallic powder, which is really cool. And I should have grabbed some paper towel. Just 1 second. I'm going to throw you on some intermission and I will be right back. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me now. All right, so I also grabbed a smaller measure because I needed a smaller one to use for the gum arabic. All different measuring tools. All right, and I also grabbed some paper towel to wipe off the pigment off of this one. So I'm just going to try to get as much of that off as possible, and then we'll wipe it clean for the next one. Because, yeah, cross-contamination would not be good. Alright, so as you can see, just that little bit that was in there has put quite a bit of color on that paper towel. Alright, so we've got 1/4 of a teaspoon there. So we need an 1/8 of a teaspoon, I think, or 1/2 of an 1/8 of a teaspoon. Let's just do the 1/8 of a teaspoon. Just under an 1/8 of a teaspoon there. And we put that all together, and then we've got to take an equal part water that we used for the... Now you can of course use more water if you decide. There we go. Then we're going to take the tip of our brush here, and we're just going to mix that all in. Now you can use a spoon or a chopstick, or just the tip of my brush was handy. And you just mix it all in into the water until it's all incorporated. This little tray may not have been the best one to use for this. It seems that everything just flows to the edges, which is fine. And as you can see, once it's all mixed in, we'll have a nice blue ink. And blue metallic ink that you can use for all different things. You can use it, paint it directly on the paper, or different applications. You can also use this. This is meant to be used in resins as well. So if you are one that makes different resin coasters, or jewelry, things like that, this is definitely a good product for you to use. Alright, so we've got the blue. Now let's see, what other colors do we have here? So I want a good range of colors. We've got a blue, and I know I have a... Okay, so this is a purple. So let's grab some purple. Oh, is that ever pretty? It's like a blacky purple. It's really kind of cool. Alright, we'll wipe that out. Alright. Get that all cleaned out. I should have dried it after I put water in. And then we'll put some gum arabic in. And of course, experiment. You don't have to, just stick with the thickness that it says to make it. You can make it thinner as well, so it's a nice clear wash to go across your paper. I've done it as per their instructions, so that it's a thicker paint. I've also been told that you can let this dry in your paint palette and use it as a paint. Just add some water to your brush and wet the palette. I might need a little bit more water in that one. Looks like I may have put more pigment in this one than I meant to, because it's really thick. So let's throw some more water in there. And just use your best judgment on how much water to use and that sort of thing. Experiment. Do what we do best and play with it. And that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to play with it. Now the purple seems to take a little bit more mixing than the blue did. But like I said, these are not the best choice for mixing these, I guess. I should have chosen a better vessel to mix. I should have used one of the tins, just so that it would have a more water movement. And of course I could have mixed these all up before I came on, but I wanted to show you guys how it's done. And how not to do it, obviously. Because for some reason, maybe I don't have enough Arabic powder in there. The pigment doesn't seem to be willing to mix as well as the blue did. So I may not have put enough of the Arabic powder in. So let's put just a touch more of that in and see if it helps. Pull that pigment in. It seems to be going. This is a nice purple though. And once I get it mixed in, it should be really pretty. Yeah, see, some of the gum Arabic is on the sides because I didn't mix it together before I put the water in it. So lesson learned, make sure that you mix the powders together before you add your water. Like I said, this is an experimentation day. Alright, so I think that's about as mixed as we're going to get that. Let's wipe it off. It's a very pretty purple though. And I think we'll do a green. Where's my green? There's green. And once again, I'm going to take the 1/4 measure and wipe out the water this time. Make sure I have a proper measure, not like the last one where I don't think I knocked off the extras. So then we'll take the gum Arabic. This time we're going to mix it all together first, and then we'll put the water in. And see if that makes a difference. Okay. Now we're going to Put some water in it. And it's not a lot of water. It's maybe a quarter, well, just over a half a teaspoon. And this is mixing in a lot better. Yeah, I think it was just the purple didn't like me, which is fine. Get that all mixed in. And as you can see, it's a really pretty metallic green as well. Now these are all metallic colors. I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to give this a little bit more of a mix now that I see some of it is starting to float up on the top. Yeah, we'll see how this purple does because I think we may have messed that one up a little bit. Alright, so let's put the lid back on the green before we knock it over. Because, yeah, they're little tiny jars, but they're about $4 a jar, so not something you want to knock over. And then the last one we're going to do is magenta, which is a really pretty color, so that's why I want to do it. And then we'll work on some painting with them and see how they do. It just kind of looks like a puke green, doesn't it? I think once we start dipping our paintbrush into it. Okay, and as you can see on the tool there, it's a nice pretty ready pink color. Just going to try to get that off my tool now. Put that in the water. And then we'll take the gum Arabic. Trying to make sure that I put the lids on everything before I end up spilling things. So that I don't end up spilling things, because I will. If it's open, I'll knock it over. Alright, so we've got some purple, some magenta, some green, and some blue. So as you may recognize, we did a picture on our Tips and Tricks Tuesday with the markers and pencil overlay. And I've got a spare one of those, so that's what we're going to actually do a little painting on. So I think we'll paint some of the butterflies and other aspects, smaller aspects. Let it dry and see how it does for adding pencil to it. So I'm just going to put that aside and then we'll mix this in. Yeah, definitely don't choose a semi-flat vessel to mix in. And I've also got some white that I've already pre-mixed because I was using it. So we use some of that as well. Alright. So there's our colors. We've got some magenta, we've got some purple, we've got some blue. So let's play with them a little bit. I'm going to put these aside. I'm just going to stick all of those back in the box and move them to the side here. And we'll move these up. And we'll take a piece of paper. First, we're going to just take a piece of paper and take a look at the paints themselves and the colors themselves. So I'm just going to pull a piece of this watercolor paper. And we'll stick it under there. Alright, so let's try the blue first. And I'm just going to stir it up a little bit, just make sure that all of that pigment and that water and everything is all mixed together as nicely as possible, so that we don't end up with big chunks of pigment. And then we're going to just, so as you can see, it works quite well as a nice metallic paint. And this is a watercolor. Obviously, you know I mixed it with water. So when you rinse your brush, you can rinse that in water. And it should come off. Oh, that's interesting. Rinse your brush and you get a layer of glitter in your brush, in your water. So that's cool. So we're going to mix this one. So this is the purple, so that was the blue. And it's called sky blue, so as you can see, it's a nice sky blue color. I'm just going to mix up this purple, make sure that I've got a good mix on it. Pull in as much of that as possible from the sides. There we go. So this one I mixed wrong and it did not like to mix. So let's see how it does going on the paper. So as you can see, this one is a little bit thinner. And there's more water showing than paint. And that's because it didn't mix properly, which is fine. That's why we experiment. But it's a nice blacky purple kind of color, so it would work really well for night skies. Let's rinse that off. The water looks really cool. It's got all the little mica bits in it. Alright, so now we're going to do the green. So we're just going to mix all that in. Now, of course, you have to mix it because the pigment is going to settle to the bottom of the tray. So if you don't mix it up, you're just going to get straight water. That's such a pretty green. Alright, and this is the green. Again, a little bit more water than I should have used. But very nice, all in the same. And like I said, we can use this as a wash, or we can use it straight as paint. And we just put in a couple of layers, let it dry, put in a couple more. And there's different applications that you can do with this. You can spray it, you can paint it, you can um, pour it, you know, that sort of thing, like one of the things that I have seen done with it. And I'll show you that in just a second here. Sorry about my arm being in your way. I'm just trying to mix this magenta up so that we can take a look at it. And then I'm going to show you a couple of different things that you can do with this type of paint that isn't just painting it. And here's our magenta. So those are our 4 colors that we've made. And we also have a white. If I can find where I put it. There it is. And I've just got to mix it up because I have it in the bottom of a paintbrush. I did try to put this through the paintbrush and it didn't seem to really go through very nicely, so I would not suggest that. Alright, so I'm just going to put the brush in here and get the color on the brush and do the white. I obviously had a bit of magenta still on the brush. So I had a bit of the magenta on the brush, so as you can see it does blend together quite nice. And you can mix it to get different colors. So that's the blend there, where it's 2 different colors blending into one. And this time I'll rinse it a little bit better. Alright, so another thing that you can do with this paint solution, whatever you want to call it, is you can take a dropper. And I've got a dropper here. I've just got to get it out of the box because I didn't want to lose it. I left it in the box. So you can take a dropper, and you can take a dropper full of your liquid. I'm just going to stick this in the box so it doesn't get lost. And you can do drops. And it will dry in that drop formation. You know, you can also add, let's see, let's add a bit of blue. And watch it spread. Another thing you can do, because this is a liquid, is you can and take a little bit of water and you can do the drops. Like that. That one just took right over that red, didn't it? And you can pick it back up, which is kind of cool. So that's another thing you can do with it as well. Like I said, you can mix colors together and get a splatter effect. Now just using um, the dropper to mix it up a little bit so that you get a lot of the mica. And as you can see, it mixes together. It will flow everywhere. And if you do it on an angle, you're gonna, move all that. You're gonna have that watercolor motion. That sort of thing. You can also, like I said, blow, like I just did, blow on it. And you can also use, of course, a straw, which will get you that flowing motion. Just going to rinse out my dropper here. And then we're going to take a look at it using it with a paintbrush on an actual picture. If I can pick this up. Put this aside so we can look at it once it's dry. And we're going to play with this picture a little bit. And I think we're just going to play with the butterflies a little bit. I need a different brush. Where's my other brush? There it is. I'm going to use this one because it's a nice thick round, because I want to be able to get as much of the pigment as well as the water. I'm going to mix this all together a little bit. Then I'm going to squeeze off some of the water. I'm going to actually do her eyes in this purple. Because it's such a pretty purple. And just like any other watercolor, you have to be really careful how much water you have on the brush. So if you have a lot of water on the brush, you're going to find that your paper is going to buckle. And you're going to have issues with that. So I'm just putting in a little bit of this dark color here. Rinse it off. You should see the glitter in this water. It's kind of cool. I need this. So we're going to take let's take some blue. And like I said, I'm just going to wipe off as much water as I can. Try to blend those colors together. Now another thing that you can definitely do, if you don't want the lower color to move when you add the next color, is you can take your heat gun and dry it first and then add your next color. I kind of wanted that to blend in a little bit and give that shadowy effect. Now we're going to take a little bit of the green. Just going to mix it up. Oh, I do apologize. Sorry about that. I will call them back. So I'm just taking a bit of the green, and I should have a little bit too much water on there. So let's try to lift some of that up. I'll lift the water up and keep the paint down. So I'm just tapping it just gently with another brush. To try to lift some of that water. There we go. Now I think we want to do this one with a little bit of the green. And still too much water on the brush. Squeeze it off a little bit. It's a little bit better. So when you're mixing, of course, experiment. If it looks too watery to you, add a little bit more of the gum arabic and that sort of thing, so that you get a good mixture without getting a lot of distortion in your color. So I think I want to go with a little bit of the magenta on this one. So that's one thing that this stuff can be used for, is a nice metallic paint. You can also use it dry, and I'll show you in a minute here on a fresh sheet of paper how to use it dry. Just the same as you would with your pastels, your chalk pastels. Another thing I'm going to be working with and trying out, like I said, I haven't tried everything with these. I've been working more with the watercolor aspects of it, trying to get that understanding down a little bit. And as you can see with the mess I'm making, I'm not doing all that great with it because it's watercolor, but I don't care. I'm trying. Let's see if I can get a good purple with this. Try to get as much water off as I can. And just spread that into the magenta. Just gonna get this edge here. And like I said, just try to put as little on your brush as possible. If you have too much water on your brush, you know, dab it off, that sort of thing. And it will work out in the end. Okay, so that's the watercolor aspect of it. We're going to put the watercolor aside for a minute here. Okay. So let's see if you can see. Let's not do that until it's dry. It's going to start going all over the place if I do that. So I'm going to put these aside. Hopefully I have enough room here for all of them. I do not. Poop. That's fine. This one can go up here. And I'm going to use the tray to mix some of the pan pastels and the chalk pastels with the Arabic powder. So let's grab, I have a white one. So I'm going to just use the white pastel. And I'm just going to grab the pan pastel here. Let's make sure it's the white, not my blender. Nope, that's the blender. Which would have worked just fine. But I have an actual white here as well. So we're just going to grab that. So there's our white. And we're going to grab a couple of brushes. Oh. And we're going to just make a couple of colors here. So we're going to take our brush, we're going to rub it on the white, and we're going to get that white loosened up a little bit. So you can see what I'm doing. I'll move. And we're just going to brush it off onto the tray. Like so. So as you can see, there's a good level of white there in the tray. Now we're going to take our sky blue again. And this time we're just going to use this little tiny one here that we were using for the gum Arabic. And we're just going to put the slightest amount in there. Like so. Don't need a whole lot because you're using the white as a filler, as a mixer. So you can put this directly on your page, but it's going to start getting expensive. And it's translucent, so you're not going to see the color as much as if you put it with, say, the white pastel. So as you can see, it blends together really well with the pastel. Just going to knock some of it off my brush. Make sure that it's all blended together. So as you can see, I've got a good dollop there that's just straight pigment. So I'm going to mix that in. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this wonderful pigment we just made and we're going to do the sky, the background area. So as you can see, it's a little bit more translucent than a pan pastel color, but it spreads the same way that you would a pan pastel. And this gives you that metallic glitter shine that you would get with a pearlized pan pastel. Now, of course, you can definitely get the pearlization, um, deeper color and everything else depending upon how much blue you add. Now I'm going to pick up some of this because I don't want to waste a whole bunch of it. And just press it into the paper. And like I said, you can do this with any of the colors. You could even do this, say if I have a blue pastel and I just want to add the blue metallic shine to it, the pearl shine to it, I can definitely use it as in the blue pastel as well. So I'm going to dust that off back onto the tray and we'll take a look. So let's see if you can see the purling. Not very well. Let's see if I turn the light on. Well, you can see the metallic shine in her eyes with that purple. So I can see the purling, but it's not showing on camera very nicely. And as you can see on the butterflies, you can see the metallic on that. So that's how you would use it with pastel. And like I said, you can do that with any color. And you can keep that set aside in a jar so that you know what color it is. You can, of course, say, okay, this is this powder and white, or, and like I said, you can make it more intense by adding more of the Pearl X to it as well. Another thing that you can do, and I'm just going to move that tray out of the way, and you can definitely do this the same way you do with a pastel. With the wet ink, you can blend it together, get it on your brush, and do it the same way. So you're going to get a lot more pearl shine this way than you are with the pan pastel technique. But as you can see, it covers really, really nicely. You can also use this for stamping. So if you have some stamps, you can use it to add some stamps as well. So as you can see, it'll go right over top of the pastel. It'll just mix into everything. Trying not to get too much on my brush. So now that I've got this brush all covered in blue, I'm gonna cover everything that I would want to be blue. And of course, you can use a little bit less of a brush to get into those finer areas. I'm not too concerned about it because this is an experiment page. And I'm just picking up and spreading out as much of that paint as possible and getting it pushed into the paper. Then I'm going to rinse this, try to get as much of that pigment out of there as I can. Now these brushes are harder to wash than a regular paintbrush, so I'm going to actually just let that soak. Then I'm going to grab a different brush and I'm going to do the same thing right on top of that blue. First I'm going to mix it all in with the magenta. I'm just going to get as much of it off the brush as I can. Now this is a smaller brush, so it's going to look different. You're going to get a little bit more lineage in it until you spread it out. But you can get those wispy effects with a wispy type of brush. So I'm just bringing that out into the blue and wisping it up. As you can see, the blue is starting to show behind it, the thinner it gets, which is actually really cool. That it just moves up the page like that. So then there's the metallic-y shine to it. So it can be used that way as well in a background. So how have we used it so far? We've painted it on, we've rubbed it on with some pastel, we've rubbed it on with a large brush to do a large background area. Now I think I have some stamps in here. Let's see. Okay, so these are just really tiny stamps, so we're going to put some flowers in her hair. So I'm just going to dip it into the blue here, shake it off. And I have not stamped before, so this is a first for me. And it's a mess. Okay, so that one didn't turn out so well. Let's see. Yeah, I think I need more practice stamping before I start playing with this stuff with stamps. Okay, so that's not working out very well for me. Let's try this one. It's got a little bit less surface, a little less grooves to work with. So let's tap it all off. Make sure that we don't have any big clobs of paint. Nope, still have big globs of paint. There, I gave her a flower in the middle of her forehead. But as you can see, depending upon what thickness you use and that sort of thing, you can definitely use them for stamping. I'm just terrible at stamping. You can also paint this onto your stamp so that you know exactly where it's going. I'm just dipping the stamp straight in And by the looks of it and this stamp coming apart, that's probably a bad idea. Yeah. And of course I'll run these underwater and wash them off and get all that color off of them later. So that is the mica powder, or the Pearl X. We've played with a few different colors in the Pearl X and that sort of thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually play a little bit with there they are, with some of the alcohol inks as well. So as I showed you yesterday, you can put it in a sprayer and spray it and get that glow, that gold or whatever color you're going to use in the background. You can also, just mixing it up. Let's see, what colors do we have? I should have gotten more actual colors. So this one's rich gold. So just get that going. But another thing that you can do, other than, just putting it straight on the page, you can put it, a couple of drops of it in a vessel. And then you can take a couple of drops of 99 proof alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And then you can mix it up. And then you have a glittery ink. I'm not sure if you can see that very well. But now we have an ink, and this is an alcohol ink. So just like your alcohol markers, it is going to evaporate. Now I can leave this in this vessel here, this little cup, and it will dry. And all I do to reactivate it is just the same way you do any other paint, just with alcohol instead of with water. So just like alcohol markers, this of course is going to go through your page. The alcohol is going to show through your page. However, the ink itself is not going to show gold on the back side of your page. It may show the primer color, which in this case I think is a bluish green, but it won't show the actual gold color. So we're giving her golden hair. And like I said, it is an alcohol ink, so it does dry out pretty quick. So you do have to work quite quickly with it. You can also do the same thing that we did with the getting as much of it off the brush as I can. With the pigment, is you can put it on a thicker brush, such as this. Just get it all on there and just rub it in. Now if you want more of an intense color, you can take your ink itself Make sure you mix it up really well. And you can put it directly on your brush or sponge or whatever you're going to use. And then you get a very intense level of the ink. That's just a few drops. And you get that really, really deep, intense gold. So if you're doing a background, you can definitely do it with the alcohol inks, getting a really good coverage really quickly. Just use a sponge or a brush or whatever you're going to use, and just sparingly put some in on the tip. Make sure that you mix it up really well. Like I've just put 1 drop on there. And I'm going to take that 1 drop and I'm just going to fill in this area here. And like I said, you got to remember that it will dry really quick, so you do have to move fairly quickly. The great thing about this is, in order to clean your brush or remove it from something, say if you get it on your hands or on your clothing, you just take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and it comes right off. However, once it's on the page and it's completely dry, it's then permanent. So that is the different ways that you can use that alcohol ink. Now, like I said, I'm going to leave that in there and I'm going to let it dry. And what will happen is it will become like a paint pad in the bottom of the glass here. And the only thing I'll need to use to reactivate that is rubbing alcohol. Another thing that you can do with it is the same as we did on the, let's try not to, this has not dried enough yet for me to do what I was going to do with it. But you can run your alcohol ink down your page and get a good coverage of the color, and then run alcohol across it and it will just pour down your entire page and give you a really cool drippy looking background. I have not yet tried to print on top of the ink. I'm still a little leery of doing that, but I will bite the bullet and I will give it a try after I refill my sprayer. So I have a sprayer here. This is another thing that you can do with your ink. So you put it in, put the ink itself in the sprayer. Let's see if I have the right ink here. No, I think it was, no, definitely not copper. Okay, so it's this one. So it's brass, there we go, that I had in here. So as you can see, it's not as full of a bottle. So I'm just going to mix this up. And what you do is you just take your color and you put it in the bottle. I'm just putting a couple of squirts, not a whole lot in there. I don't know if you can see it, but not a huge amount in there. I have 1 more squirt just to make sure. And then we're going to take our rubbing alcohol. That's what's in here. And this is a 99% rubbing alcohol. And we're just going to put some in the bottom here. Now, what I've done is I've put 10 times every squirt. So it's got quite a level in there now. And let's do one more squirt, just to make sure. So it's in order for it to work well as a fine mist, you got to put quite a bit of alcohol in there so that the powder will mix in. Make sure that you mix what you're doing. I need to buy some plastic beads, mixing beads. And once you have it all mixed in, make sure that you've got your sprayer facing the right way. And then you can just spray it on. And as you can see, even when it's wet, you can still see the spritz all over her face. So you can do that on an entire sheet of paper. Let it dry, and then put it through the printer and print your picture on top of it. What I would suggest doing is after you've printed it, let it dry completely, spray it with a workable fixative, and then go over it with your pencil. Now this part here is fairly dry, so let's see. Let us see. Let's see what we can do with some pencil. So we're going to take a bit of a yellow because it'll stand out really well on that. And we're just going to color right on top of it. And we're going to take a look and see how much of this picks up on the pencil. The gold, the bronze that I just sprayed is going to pick up on the pencil because I haven't solidified it. So it didn't pick up a whole lot, but it did move around. And I don't know if you can see it. You can see underneath the pencil there, it is still the metallic-y shine. So when you do spray down your page, and I will be doing this at some point and doing a video of coloring over top of it, because it's going to take a couple of days to prep it. When you do color over top of your page, you're going to get that slight sparkle behind your color. So as you can see, I've still got that sparkle behind the color there, which is kind of cool. All right, so those are some of the applications that this wonderful stuff can do. I will leave a link. He is opening a new craft website specifically for crafts, nothing to do with 3D printing. Right now, he's got his powders and inks and that mixed in with his 3D printing stuff. So I will leave a link to that page. And as soon as we get the craft store information, I will definitely leave you a link to that. I know that he's got a bunch of other things that he wants to sell and put into the craft store. So I will make sure, hold on a sec, I got itch in my ear, hate that. I will make sure that I get all of that information to you all, and any of the new products, I will try to get them on the channel. So with that, we have some magenta, we have some sky blue, and I'm just going to leave them in here and let them dry, and then I'm going to try to re-wet them and make them into a paint. So we'll see how that works out too. And then we've got our purple, which is really wet. This one I might dump out and retry because that's way too wet. And then we've got our green, which needs to be mixed. But it's got quite a bit of powder there in the bottom. We will see how it turns out. I'll let them all dry and we'll see how it goes. Looks really cool. It looks like a waterfall cascade of color. It's just so cool. Anyway, I get enthralled with these things. It's so cool. So we will let them dry and we will see how they turn out, and we will use them again another time in some watercoloring, I think. I do have some watercolor metallic paints as well as some translucent metallic paints. So we'll see how they compare to those as well. All right, guys, I would like to say thank you all very much for joining me. I hope you have found this at least entertaining to watch me play with these things, a little bit informative, and I hope you. I have created a choo-choo drain. This alcohol ink is called Pinata, and it is Pinata multi-surface alcohol ink. The mica powder, or the pigment powder, because this is dry pigment, is called Pearl X. Not sure if you can see it there. Both are done by Jacquard. This is a 3 millimeter or 3 gram, not 3 milliliter, a 3 gram bottle. You can also get them in larger bottles if you use a lot of it. I didn't want to use a whole lot of it, so you can also get, instead of using a 99 proof alcohol, if it's not something that you want to have in your house or want to deal with, you can also use for this Pinata ink to dilute it. They do have a disperser that you can also purchase. I just didn't buy any. And I have bottles and bottles of alcohol, so. And the gum arabic, which is used to mix into your powders, you can purchase either on Amazon, or you can also purchase it on the Jacquard site. I purchased mine on Amazon and it got smushed in transport, so I'm not sure which one would be better to get a hold of to purchase that. These are all done by Jacquard. The bottles I bought on Amazon for really cheap. They're just little cheapy blue glass spray bottles. Try, if you're going to put it in a spray bottle, make sure that you use a colored glass bottle so that you don't corrupt your ink, because sunlight can do damage to it, from what I've been told. I don't personally know. Like I said, this is an experimentation for me. I'm learning with you guys. So we will play with these more at another time. I'm going to let this experiment continue with letting these inks dry in their little tureens here. And we will work on we'll see how we can do what we can do with activating them with a paintbrush and water and alcohol. So yeah, the website I'm going to be sending you to is called alien3d.co, I do believe. I will also, like I said, you can also buy this stuff on Amazon as well as on the Jacquard website. I would prefer that you buy it from Alien 3D. It does help him out quite a bit, and he is such a sweet guy. He is a good friend of my husband's from the 3D printing community. So I will link his website for these products. And hopefully I have enabled you to help him out a little bit and give these things a try. They are about the same on his website as they are on Amazon. I am not an affiliate with him and I do not make any funds. He has not paid me for any of this information or this review. I have purchased these all with my own money, and yeah, everything is a honest 100% honest review of the website that they came from, as well as the products. I think the products are fantastic, and I'm going to buy some sponges, and I'm going to try some things with different sponges and that sort of thing. I can see how this would work really well on 3D printed products as well. So I'm going to print off a couple of different 3D things and we're going to try it on those as well. I'm just going to play with it. That's pretty much all I'm doing, is at this point I'm just playing with it. I have used the white on the picture that I finished. Here it is. Just for the fun of it. The white down her dress and that sort of thing, I have used that white metallic paint on that I mixed up. So it can be used in your paintings, in your colorings. It can be colored over top of. It does lift up a little bit of the metallic into the coloring. So when you blend it, let's grab a blending pencil and see how this works. So if you blend it with a blending pencil, let's see if it will lift off the paint from underneath, or if it'll just lift off the colored pencil. Okay, so it's just blending it in, lifting off a bit of the colored pencil in the heavier areas, blending it in. And we'll see if, okay, so when you do blend it, it does remove some of that glint. So if you like the glint behind it, don't use a blending pencil, because it does lift that glint up from behind it. It does burnish it and pushes that wax down onto the glint and removes the glint. Alright guys, that's about all I can say here with this stuff. Like I said, I'm just playing with it at this point, just like you guys will be. And the more I learn about it, the more I will tell you about it. And of course, the more I use it in my own colorings and that sort of thing. Once again, the site that I bought this from, I would prefer that you purchase it through him if you decide to purchase this product. And I will make sure that I get you the correct site that I purchased it from. Just one moment. Of course, I've opened and closed so many things. I don't know why I'm doing that. That's silly. I'll just get it out of the email. It helps if I learned how to spell. All right. He also has, if you do have different, he has a 3D printing box that he puts out called Alien 3D. So if you do decide that you want to purchase that as well. If you have a 3D printer or somebody in your life that has 3D printers, you can definitely purchase that sort of thing with him as well. So the Pearl X was $3.19, and the the Pina Color Alcohol Ink was $3.79. So that's about the same price as anywhere else. So, and I'm just trying to find the website information, and I'm not finding it. So I will look for that, and I will make sure that I get that information all sent to you, so that you can definitely take a look at his website. Everything is listed under art and supplies, and I will try to make sure I list the correct actual page to purchase things on. And that's the only endorsement. He hasn't paid me for it whatsoever. He's just a really nice guy that has some products that he would like to sell and to move, and they're not moving very well in the 3D community, but they work really nicely in our coloring community, and it fits very well with the artistic community. So I hope that, like I said, that I've enabled you to jump on the choo-choo train with these wonderful products. Like I said, I have just started to play with them in the past week. And I've figured out a few things that they can be used for, but I don't know 100% about them. I have been watching some YouTube videos. Jacquard has some great YouTube videos, as well as some great information on the Jacquard site as well. So that's about all I have to say about it. I hope you have enjoyed this wonderful Fun Stuff Friday of just playing with some fun stuff. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. Of course, tomorrow is our Saturday Color and Chat, and we will be continuing on with the Wild Soul by Grazia Salvo. There we go. We will be continuing our parrot lady, our lady with the parrot. And yeah, all in all, a great little product, and both products have a great place in the coloring community as far as I'm concerned, especially with the community that uses a lot of the watercolor products. Like I said, I'm going to do a couple of experiments where I'm going to spray the entire page, put it through the printer, let it dry 100%, and then color on top of that. That will be coming up on one of our color and chats. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Of course, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I know this has been a lot longer than our normal videos, but I wanted to show you everything I could possibly show you about the product itself and about what we can do with it. I would like to say thank you very much to all of my members. If you want to join me and become a member of the channel, we do have 3 different levels of membership. We have the unicorns, which I do have 3 unicorns, the mermaids, which I don't have any mermaids yet, and some fairies, and I do have 7 wonderful little fairies that have joined me in the wonderful membership. There are different perks to each tier and different things that are specially only available to the members of my channel. Again, if you want to join me as a member, there's a little box down below that says join. Choose what membership you would like to join as, and just hit that join button. It will take your payment information and that sort of thing, and you will become a member and you will have access to some wonderful emojis, as well as have a lovely badge next to your name at the lowest tier all the way up to the highest tier. So tomorrow when you're chatting in chat, you can have a really cute little badge next to your name and some wonderful little emojis. Of course, if you want to join me over on Facebook, I do have a Facebook page, and you can definitely join me there by hitting the link down below. I also have an Instagram page that I don't use a whole lot. I am slowly learning how to check it. It's a lot of phone um, sort of stuff, and I'm not all that great on my cell phone. So you can definitely join me there. I can't promise that I'm going to post there a whole lot because of the fact that everything is done through the cell phone. All the posting is done through the cell phone. And I don't use my cell phone to post things very often. I don't know how. I'm not very good with it at all. I have posted a few things and I'm slowly learning how to do it. So I will continue to try. Other than that, guys, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you tomorrow during our Saturday color and chat. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. Remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Thank you all very much for watching. You have no idea how much you mean to me. All right. Bye-bye for now, guys.